Besama Ab, World, and Mefeskadus, Adawamla, Amen. Besama Ab, World, and Mefeskadus, Adawamla, Amen. Besama Ab, World, and Mefeskadus, Adawamla, Amen. Yes, good morning and blessings and love, and yeah, hope everyone's doing good. Just want to send out a prayers to my brethren Winston Spalding, whose birthday would be today and is today, but his heavenly birthday sadly passed away a few years ago. So sending my thoughts and prayers to Winston and his family. So I've got a new backdrop here. Just put a big like a shawl with a mescal on it. It covers up the books. Just kind of tried a different thing out. I was sick of seeing the books all the time. I still need access to them, but it's easy to just lift up. But yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. So on with the reading. Numbers chapter 15. Give thanks, blessed love. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when you have come into the land of your habitations, which I give to you, and will make an offering by fire to Yahweh, a burnt offering, or a sacrifice, to accomplish a vow, or as a free will offering, or in your set feasts, to make a pleasant aroma to Yahweh of the herd or of the flock. Then he who offers his offering shall offer to Yahweh a meal offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil. You shall prepare wine for the drink offering, 1/4 of a hin, with a burnt offering, and for a sacrifice. For each lamb, for a ram, you shall prepare for a meal offering 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with the third part of a hin of oil. And for the drink offering you shall offer the third part of a hin of wine, and a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. When you prepare a bull for a burnt offering, or for a sacrifice, to accomplish a vow, or for peace offerings to Yahweh, then we shall offer with the bull a meal offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with half a hin of oil, and you shall offer for the drink offering half a hin of wine, for an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. Thus it shall be done for each bull, for each ram, for each of the male lambs, and for the young goats. According to the number that you shall prepare, so you shall do to everyone according to their number. All who are native born shall do these things in this way, in an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh. If a stranger lives as a foreigner with you, or whoever may be among you throughout the generations, or will offer an offering made by fire of a pleasant aroma to Yahweh, as you do, so he shall do. For the assembly there shall be one statute for you, and for the stranger who lives as a foreigner, a statute forever throughout your generations, as you are. So the foreigner shall be before Yahweh. One law and one ordinance shall be for you and for the stranger who lives as a foreigner with you. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and tell them, when you come into the land where I bring you, then I shall be that when you eat the bread of the land, you shall offer up a wave offering to Yahweh. Of the first of your dough you shall offer up a cake of a wave offering, and the wave offering and the threshing flour, so you shall heave it. Of the first of your dough you shall give to Yahweh a wave offering throughout your generations. When you err and don't observe all these commandments which Yahweh has spoken to Moses, even all that Yahweh has commanded you by Moses, from that day Yahweh gave commandment and onward throughout your generations, then it shall be. If it is done unwittingly without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall offer one young bull for a burnt offering, for a pleasant aroma, and with its meal offering and its drink offering according to the ordinance, and one male goat for a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel, and they shall be forgiven. For it was an error, and they have brought their offering, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, and their sin offering before Yahweh for their error. All the congregation and the children of Israel shall be forgiven, as well as the stranger who lives as a foreigner amongst them. For with regard to all the people, it is done unwittingly. If a person sins unwittingly, then he shall offer a female goat a year old for a sin offering. The priest shall make atonement for the soul who errs when he sins unwittingly before Yahweh. He shall make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven. You shall have one law for him who does anything unwittingly, for him who is native born among the children of Israel, and the stranger who lives as a foreigner amongst them. But the soul who does anything with a high hand, whether he is native born or foreigner, blasphemes Yahweh, that soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised Yahweh's words, and has broken his commandments. That soul shall be utterly cut off. His iniquity shall be on him. While the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. They put him in custody because it was not been declared what should be done to him. Yahweh said to Moses, "That man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside of the camp." All the congregation brought him outside of the camp and stoned him to death with stones, as Yahweh commanded Moses. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them that they should make themselves fringes on the borders of their garments throughout their generations, that they put on the fringe of each border of cord of blue. It shall be you for a fringe, that you may see it, and remember all Yahweh's commandments and do them, and that you don't follow your own heart and your own eyes, after which you used to play the prostitute, so that you may remember and do all my commandments and be holy to your God. I am Yahweh, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Yahweh, your God." For these few words I give thanks, blessed love. So it's quite technical in language, I think, this chapter. It's quite detailed, and I think some of the narrative can be lost within a lot of that detail. It talks about how many portions of oil to wine to pour out and to offer as an offering. But what we have in the heart of this chapter is this difference between the unwitting sins and the knowing sins. Sins done unwittingly and any sins done unwittingly are forgiven when it's been acknowledged and when it's been asked for forgiveness and when an offering has been given to God. But when it's been done unwittingly, that God looks on that person with favour. But it also says there, when a sin's been done with a high hand, and what they mean by high hand is when a sin's been done deliberately, knowing it's a sin, but then they still consciously act on that sin. That's when God's judgment comes down very harshly, and it says that that person shall be cut off from the people. And then it goes even further. It goes into a story of someone who was found gathering sticks on the Sabbath, and Yahweh asked them to be put to death and for the people to be stoned. And then the final part is to say that all the children of Israel has to wear these tassels, this blue cord and tassels on the edge and the hem of their garment. And that tassels and that cord is to be a reminder to the people to adhere to God's commandments. So it's a very physical reminder. And I think, in terms of thinking about that harsh judgment against the person who was gathering sticks on the Sabbath, and put that in context with what we hear in the New Testament, because as we keep hearing that Jesus, Iyesus Kristos, came to fulfill the new law and not necessarily keep upholding these laws which would have been in iniquity, and to suppress some of these laws of the past. So in the book of Matthew, we see Iyesus Kristos chastising the Pharisees for their long tassels. The accusation is that they're wearing their tassels and the blue cord long to be seen to be pious and righteous and loyal, when their actions are anything but that. So Iesus Christos calls out this practice as a fallacy, and as a mockery to God. So Iesus Christos doesn't uphold a lot of the statutes that we're reading in this area. So this is why it's always important to get this fuller understanding of the Bible, and to understand that the pages that we're reading in any one time is just one part of a much bigger understanding that the Bible presents in later chapters and in later books. And even thinking about this, the idea of the tassels, this reminder that you have to have something physical that to remember yourself that you are a child of God and have commandments. I mean, it can seem like a very kind of performative element, but I think it's something that many people do, whether it's about wearing, pendants. I always wear this pendant. Is this a reminder to myself, or is this to let other people know? What is the purpose of us doing anything? Why do we wear our hair in dreadlocks? Why do we wear scarves with red, gold, and green on them? Why do we, have certain things around us that we surround ourselves with that show our cultural identity, even tattoos or what, anything? What is it, and we've all got those things. Ethiopian Orthodox wear the wooden cross. What is it that we are aiming for when we surround ourselves with these objects, with these cultural icons, etc., etc.? Are they to remind ourselves, or are they to show other people? And the reality is probably a combination of both. That we are proudly displaying our faith identities to other people, but is also a constant reminder to us that we are walking in these particular kind of paths, and we do that without apology. So this idea of the blue tassels as reminders for themselves to follow God's commandments, again, this is coming after a very disobedient time of the children of Israel. We saw an uprising. We saw people wanting a new leader, to cast aside Moses and for the people to go back to Egypt, because they were very unhappy with the direction that God had taken them to. So if you remember these previous chapters, we've come at a very turmoil time where people have been angry with God, and God has been angry with the people, and it's caused a huge clash. So this strictness that we're seeing with the person casting the stone, being cast to death for gathering sticks on the Sabbath, it's come out of a very particular context where people have been disobedient, and you could say God is at the end of his tether with it. And what we see interesting with Moses, and we saw this in the previous chapter, that Moses has that relationship with God where he says, God, hold on, don't show your wrath in such a way, still show the people that you are kind and virtuous and forgiving. And we're seeing this wrestle all of the time with God. And remember, the word Israel is because Jacob wrestled with God. So the name Israel means wrestling with God. So they're the precedents, even before Moses, of this idea of wrestling with God and arguing with God. And actually, God respects that, but with certain individuals he respects. He respected it with Jacob, and he respects it with Moses. So it's not to be underestimated the context that these moments have arrived in. But then Iesus Kristos, when he then arrives, presents a new context and a new dawning and a new understanding and a new relationship with the Most High. So yeah, lots to think on there, huge amounts of threads, but I will leave it there, and God willing, more tomorrow. So have a blessed day, have a good day, Malcolm Ken, have a good day, and yeah, just glory to God in every aspect. One love.